Hello everybody, welcome to another Ask Nerida Joy video. I have my model here with me today. Her name is Azure and she has melasma. So today's video is going to be a treatment showing you how to work and lighten melasma. Now the thing that is different about today's video, unlike my other videos that you are all going to be so excited, is that I am talking and going to be showing you the products that I'm using because I need to now. So I want to have Azure come back in 2 weeks and see me. We're going to be doing a follow-up to this particular facial treatment today because I want you to see how much her skin has improved. And she's also going to be using product at home that I'm going to give her to use to help lighten and brighten melasma. So as we know, melasma is so tricky, it's so difficult to treat. There are so many reasons and elements that make it worse. And I wanted to ask Azure just what it was that she's originally from Arizona, and what she had told me is that her skin, she did not have the melasma when she was living in a hot place like Arizona. And since she moved here, she said she had just a little bit under one eye, but since she's moved here to Los Angeles, she said it's got much worse. And yet we're not as hot, we don't have as much sun here, we've got pollution filtering the sun's rays. So I just wanted to ask her some questions about this before we get started. So Azure, would you mind just telling us a little bit about what you've done, what you found successful on your skin in the past, and what you've been doing to treat your melasma at home?
The only thing I've used to treat my melasma was Roden & Field's Lightning line, and it worked really quickly and very well, but it wasn't something that I could keep using. And when I stopped using it, within a week it started to come back, and within about 2 months it was fully back.
Fully back. Now, does that line have hydroquinone in it? Do you know?
I think so. I think that's what we had talked
about. So one of the important things that I know, because I've been doing this for a gazillion years, is that working with the bleaching agent hydroquinone, because it does affect the cycle of the cell, the melanin, the tyrosinase cycle within a melanocyte, what happens is that if you use it for too long, it messes up that whole cycle. So what's really important is if you are using a product that does contain hydroquinone, you should only use it for 6 to 8 weeks, and then you are supposed to have a break from it for a month, and then you can go back on using it again if you choose to. But nowadays, hydroquinone has been banned in many countries because they found it to be cancer-causing. So it is not an ingredient of choice so much today because we have so many other brightening and lightening ingredients such as the alpha-arbutin and licorice extract and kojic and the niacinamide. So we have a lot of alpha hydroxy acids, retinols. We have a lot of these types of products that really help to lighten the melasma anyway. But what we do know is that it's deep, and what's really important, there are certain things that irritate it. So in today's facial treatment, I'm not going to be using steam because heat is something that can irritate and make the melasma stand out more. So we're going to be doing more soothing, calming, lightening treatments on her. I'm going to give her some home care. She's going to be working with some vitamin C at home, a whitening toner, and the alpha-arbutin, which is, as I said, a lightening agent that's really important for her to use on a nightly basis. We're going to start Azure's treatment. I'm going to be using a light gel cleanser. You can see the line down here that I'm using is Rejuvi. And this is a line that I will tell you I have worked with a chemist for more than 20 years. I have worked with many skincare lines in the past. I've worked with Thalgo, Clarins, Ella Bache, Valmont, La Prairie. I've worked with many skincare lines and have in the past not spoken about the types of products that I use because I want you to focus on more the treatment and the diagnosis, because your products are nothing unless you can diagnose somebody's skin. correctly. So it's really important. You can have a great skincare line, but if you're not diagnosing your client's skin correctly, then the products aren't going to work, or they're going to cause more problems. So what's really important is that you know your tools. And I know that a lot of my subscribers out there are estheticians from all over the world. So I say to you, know your tools. Know and understand what products you're using, the ingredients in them, what they do and how they work. And it's, as you can see, I don't have a lot of products here that I work with. I have a couple of cleansers, a gel and a milk cleanser. I have very little on my trolley. I use my flavonoid, which you've seen me use in a lot of videos because it's so healing. It feeds the skin a lot of nutrients. It's great for sensitive skin, and I am going to be using it on Azure as well. It's part of our lightening and brightening process. So I'm going to be talking more about products as I go, because I know it's really important for you to understand, so that you've got something to gauge, and then it's up to you. There's so many great products out there, but at least I'm hoping today that you'll be able to understand a little bit more. So I have a gel cleanser here that I'm going to use. It has a little cucumber, it has aloe in it, and I'm going to work this into her skin. Azure's skin, to start with, I can tell you, is a little bit surface dry. It's a very common problem that happens here living in Los Angeles. And because we don't have the humidity in the air, as you know, for someone who's living in Florida or on the East Coast. So we're going to start with a cleanser. She's surface dry. She has a combination dry skin, meaning her skin is more dry than oily. She has a few little blackheads around her nose, a slightly oily T-zone, but her skin is really, her levels are dry, and I can see it and I can feel it. So we want to help sort of hydrate her levels, and she'll be using some really good treatment products at home that are going to help her hydrate those levels as well. So I'm going to use my sponges. I use disposable sponges. I prefer to use a washcloth for home care, for taking off the cleanser, but in treatment I like to use disposable sponges. So that's what I'm using here right now. My cleanser is a non-foaming cleanser. Foaming cleansers dry the very outer layer of the skin. Now, if you are a more oily skin living in a place like Florida, you can probably use a foaming cleanser. But living here in Los Angeles, most people are surface dry, and you cannot use a foaming cleanser, because if you set up a slate that is dry on top, oil cannot get out, which means your pores are going to get larger, because the bacteria, dead cells, and sebum is going to build up inside a pore. And also your treatment products that you put on can't get in properly either. So you want your treatment products to be able to be absorbed and to do what they're supposed to do. So we've cleansed her skin off now. I'm going to do an exfoliant. I've talked a lot about exfoliants. I have an exfoliant here on my hand. It is a non-granular exfoliant. This one here is called the exfoliating mask. It is also a Rejuve item, but again, La Prairie have a 3-minute peel. Valmont have one called the clarifying pack. There are so many great exfoliants out there that are enzyme based. This one has a little papaya in it, lemon peel powder. It has a little bit of glycolic, and this is what absorbs dead cells and gets rid of that dry outer layer, which is what we really need to do. That's so important. So for Azure's skin, because she is a combination dry skin, but her level, her outer layer, what we call the subcondition, is very surface dry. She needs to exfoliate her skin about once every 5 days right now, until her skin gets a little bit better with her dehydration. So I'm just working it into the skin. If you read the tube, it will tell you to leave it on the skin for 15 minutes. Now, I never leave anything on the skin for 15 minutes unless it is a mask, a type of mask that is not going to be too drying on them. So this one here, we're just going to work it into her skin. Because she has melasma very close up by her eyes, we are going to be using it close to her eye area, near her eye area. and she's going to feel it. It's going to be a little bit tingly on her skin. Sometimes when someone's skin is really quite dry and in need of exfoliation, you can feel it a little bit more. So it is going to be a little bit stingy on her skin. And I'm going to work this into her skin only for a couple of minutes. I do not like anything to dry on the skin if someone has surface dryness. So no masks or anything to dry and make that face feel tight and squeaky clean is not good for Azure. So we're going to do above her lip, because this is a very common area where people get melasma, whether they're on a contraceptive pill or not. It's a very common area where people get grey around the mouth area. And also just driving. You know, when you're driving and you have the visor down on the car, you're hitting here, but this area here is fully exposed to the sun. So often you find people get very grey around the mouth area. So not only does one have to be, you know, very protective with their sunscreen, they need to really make sure they double up on that upper lip area, because it is an area that gets grey very quickly. So I'm going to take the bulk of this off again with sponges, and then I'm going to come back and use warm towels on her skin. So right now I'm just doing that extra cleanse, getting the last little residue pieces of the exfoliating mask off her face. Now the skin can still be a little bit tingly right now, so it's good to make sure the towels are not too hot when you put them on her face. But we're going to use a little bit of the healing gel, which is an aloe-based healing gel. It's 97% aloe vera. I use it a lot after any peels that I'm doing, any exfoliation. I add to, sometimes if someone's skin's really sensitive, I can be using the exfoliating mask and I'm mixing a little bit of the healing gel with it. And what that's going to do is it's going to dilute it so it's not so strong and not so stingy, because not everybody needs to have a strong exfoliation. So this is just a little bit of healing gel. Now, as you've seen me in the past use a lot of the flavonoid, and some of my really curious fans out there have found what product it is. They're so great. I'm so impressed with my subscribers or my fans, because you've really gone to some work to find out what products that I've been using. So the product that I'm putting on now is the Q flavonoid. It again is a Rejuve product. It is very dark in color, as you can see. And why I love this product so much, I use it on just about all skin types. It feeds the skin a lot of nutrients. It is also very good for brightening. So it has a brightening effect because of what it has in it. And it's arnica, it's ivy, it's mallow extract. It's got a lot of your great flavonoids in it to really feed the skin. So you can see Azure's skin is really quite yellow, and my towels will be too after this, which is a total pain when you go to wash, because it's very difficult to get the yellow out. But it's worth it because of what it does for the skin. So we're going to use this right up around Azure's eyes, because this is where she has melasma. And we want to make sure that anyone who has dark circles around their eyes, you want to make sure this is not anything that stings on the skin. It's strictly to feed the skin nutrients, and you need to have a healthy skin if you want it to respond well to what you're doing. Because this is a brightening treatment, I'm not going to be spending a lot of time massaging Azure's skin. So we're going to work this into her skin for just a couple of minutes. I'm just working the flavonoid into the skin. I'm doing upward motions, which I really like to do. I like to get under any fine facial hair that's on the face. We want to really work it into the skin so that I know it's going to get in there and it's going to do a good job for her. So once you've exfoliated the skin's very vulnerable because it's had a buffing effect on the epidermis. It's now very vulnerable, so it's going to really suck up whatever you put on very quickly. And we want her skin to suck this up because it's so great. It's such a great product. And there's a lot of different forms of vitamin C. A video I did with Trina Albus talking about different vitamin Cs that help to really feed the skin. Vitamin C is very good, especially when it's not something that's combined with some irritating. Some of them are very irritating, vitamin C, and And I always say to people, you know, with vitamin C, sometimes the ascorbic side of the vitamin C isn't as great as the magnesium side of a vitamin C. You don't want it to be irritating on the skin. So you want it to be something that's brightening and soothing and also protecting your skin from the environment, because vitamin C stays on the skin for a long time and it really aids as another little SPF. So that's quite fabulous. So we're just working this yummy flavonoid in.
It smells really good. Everything smells really good.
Oh, that's so nice.
It doesn't smell like strong or like there's a lot of chemicals in it.
Yes, it's an excellent treatment line. I'm just working in a little bit of retinol over top of the flavonoid. I want to just work it in for a minute. And this is a retinol that Rejuve has. It's called the A Night Gel. The one thing about retinols and in skincare products, and I'm not talking prescription strength, this particular retinol is a complex. So when you're working with vitamin A, it's nice to have your different vitamin A groupings in a product, because all your groupings are of different molecular size and weight. So within your A groupings, you've got your vitamin A1, your A2, your acetate, your palmitate, and your retinoic acid, your retinol. So because they're all different molecular sizes and weights, they work on different levels in the skin. So when I look for a retinol product, I like to get a retinol that is an A complex, so it has your different molecules of your A groupings. So I've worked the flavonoid into her skin for a couple of minutes. I've worked a little bit of retinol over top of the flavonoid into her skin, and as you can see, my towels are pretty yellow here as it comes off. So here we have our vitamin C, our whitening toner, and I've sprayed it on some cotton, and we're just going to work this over. It is a little bit thicker than a regular liquid, the toner. So again, it has a lot of vitamin C in it. It's all part of the brightening. We want to make sure we get it up really close up underneath the eye area where she has melasma around her eyes. And this is going to be a home care product for her that she's going to use every day on her skin. What I'm going to do now is put a mask on Azure's skin, and I'm choosing to do the pearl silk because it has a brightening effect. Pearls really do have that brightening effect on the skin and really helps with melasma. So in the Rejuve line, I have different masks. This particular one is the pearl silk mask. It comes, there's 2 little sachets. I've just opened them so they're torn. These 2 go together in a bowl. You mix it. You've got to mix them well together before you add the water. So we're going to now, and the water has to be cool. It can't be too hot or too cold. Just a room temperature water is what is important, and we're just going to mix that now. So what we have here now, I've mixed it, and we have quite a thick kind of paste. You've got to work pretty quickly with it. So I'm going to stand up and apply this. And I'm going to ask her, which is good she has her eyes closed, because we are going to be putting this on here. I'm using a tongue depressor to apply it. And we are going to take it up very close to the eye, because remember, she has that melasma that's very close up under that eye area. So what I'm doing here now is I'm just putting the gauze, which is just gauze cut out with its eyes and nose and mouth cut out here. I'm placing this over top of the mask. I want it to hold it in place, and it's going to stop it sort of from running and dribbling into any areas. Like I've done it quite close to Azure's eyes because I really wanted to help with the melasma around the eye. So I just have put this gauze over. It's going to hold it in place. And now we're going to leave this mask to stay on the skin for 20 minutes now that we've got it on. It's an art mixing the mask and working it and getting it to the right thickness so that when you go to apply it to the skin, that it's not going to run and just be unmanageable. So it is an art. It takes a little bit of practice doing that. But this is one of the great brightening masks that I like to use in my treatments when I'm working with melasma, and this one here is called a Pearl Silk mask. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see Azure in 2 weeks. I'm going to see her again. We're going to do more filming and you're going to see an update with her treatment for melasma. What we are going to do the next time I am going to incorporate is a little AHA treatment. And my AHA treatments are, it's a professional AHA. I will hold it up for you. It's this one here. It's called the Fruit Complex. It again is a Rejuve product. It's the Fruit Complex #1. It means that it is a 25% AHA. And why this one is so great over a lot of them, and there are a lot of good brands. So know that there's, the Murad line. Dr. Murad is, what a genius for even coming up with all these AHAs. And when I first came to America, I know that it was such a, he just did so much work on alpha hydroxy acids, and it was so wonderful for all of us estes. So what makes this particular complex great is that it has all your different molecules of your alpha hydroxy acid groupings, and that is your glycolic, lactic, malic, tartaric, and citrus. And the way that I've said them now is in order that they are. So glycolic is your smallest molecule of your alpha hydroxy acid grouping. And when you're talking about molecule size and weight, when you're talking about the smallest, what that means is that it penetrates the deepest in the skin. So when you're working with anybody's skin, whether it be that they have melasma or they have acne, you want to be able to work on all the different levels of the skin so that you're really healing their skin correctly. It's like you can't build a house if you don't have the right foundation, the walls, and the roof. So it's really important that you work on all the different levels of the skin the same. So glycolic is the smallest molecule, lactic acid is the second smallest molecule of weight and size. And this means that glycolic will go the deepest, lactic will be the next one, and they all work on different levels of the skin. So it's glycolic, lactic, malic, tartaric, and citrus. So those are your 5 alpha hydroxy acid molecules. And this is a complex, so that means it contains all 5 of your molecules. That's why I like to work with it. So in her next treatment, Azure's next treatment, I'm going to be using this AHA complex on her. Today her skin was a little bit dry, a little bit sensitive because it is so dry, so I want to feed it a little bit, I want to condition it. I'm going to have her using some products at home, a little bit of retinol at home, and we're going to do this one on her with her next treatment that we have you back here watching us. Okay, so we're going to be taking off the mask now. I am going to be taking it from the bottom upwards, and she is going to be going home with a cleanser. She's going to have that whitening toner that we talked about that's loaded with vitamin C. She is going to have that flavonoid that she's going to be using at nighttime, the one that's very yellow, that stains all my towels yellow, but really feeds the skin a lot of nutrients. So she'll be using that at nighttime as her serum. And then she's going to be using a product that has a little retinol in at nighttime, and that one is going to help lighten and brighten. But we're going to ask her to come back in 2 weeks, and we're going to continue on with her treatments so that you can see her improvement. So thank you for watching, and we'll be back with you in 2 weeks.